Hi, my name is Alan Graff. I'm a civil rights attorney. You're going to see a course here in radical civics being taught at the Farm School. The Farm is a community in Summertown, Tennessee. This is a high school course. We'll be posting each course on YouTube for anybody to listen to and make comments about. We're going to approach civics from a completely different perspective than you normally would get in a civics course. This is going to first start in the basic principles of government, why we need government, how government relates to people, animals, rights, liberties, and such. We're going to be looking at sources such as Rousseau and Locke and Native American philosophy. We're going to move on and talk about American jurisprudence. We're going to compare it to other European governments. We're going to look at the foundations of both criminal and civil law. Finally, we're going to look at government itself, how it's evolved and how it has fallen down to the promise it made to man in the social contract. We'll be posting this series once a week, and you're all welcome to look at and enjoy. Thank you. This is a civics class, and what I'm hoping, I'm hoping that the format of this is that I'm not just going to go blah, 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 blah for the next 6 months. It's an interactive class, and we want you to, I'm going to be sort of posing questions to you. We're going to go through how government starts, why do we need government, and then learning about government, not only American government, but European and Native American governments. And well, by the time you finish this course, you're going to know more than most people out there about government. You're going to be dangerous. I'm hoping that you're going to be a concerned, active citizen that's going to have a lot of tools. You walk in here with a toolbox, and I'm going to fill your toolbox with crescent wrenches and ratchets and screwdrivers and all these tools. You're going to be able to go out and make changes. And I'm hoping also that you're going to develop or keep developing what's called critical thinking. And anytime I say something, if you don't agree with it, you think like, what? I want you to tell me. I don't believe that, or where are you coming from, all right? So the reading material that I gave you, it's very thick, and it's going to cover these next two classes. So if you haven't read it, or read part of the reading material, I'd like you to finish the reading material for the next class. I'm also, if there's a groan, you can do it in the microphone. I'm going to have a homework assignment. Next class, I want a 2 to 4 page double-spaced paper on the topic is, what is the price of freedom? What is the price of freedom, and what relationship does freedom have to natural law? And if you can explain it through the eyes of Locke, Thoreau, Marx, Rousseau, Sartre, and Native Americans, that would be good. If you have any questions during the week, or you're going, call me or email me, alan@hippielawyer.com. So again, what is the price of freedom, and what relationship does freedom have to natural law? Okay. First, I want to start off with, and this is Karuna who gave me this idea. What is the difference between a dog and a human? Can anybody tell me? A dog and a human. Karuna, you can tell me. What's the difference? Give me, and speak up.
Dogs walk on 4 legs. They have different ways of governing than people.
Different ways of what?
Like government than people do.
Okay, they walk on 4 legs, and they have different ways of doing things that people do? Okay.
They're more furry.
They're more free.
They're more furry.
More furry. Okay, I thought you said they're more free. Okay.
She also, Alan, mentioned government in her answer. I think you missed it, but she said they have different ways of governing.
Okay, different ways of governing themselves. Okay, so, we're talking about physical aspects. What about more mental or whatever? Can someone tell me, Zach?
They can't language. They can't think the way we do.
They can't think.
No, they can't.
Oh, they can't think the way we do. Okay, what's the difference between a dog's thinking and a human's thinking?
Humans language. They can imagine things. They can imagine wings on you. They can imagine that the floor was green. But animals, they don't have the ability to imagine things different than the way they are.
Okay, he says animals can't imagine things. Does everybody agree with that? Noah?
Yeah, I guess I sort of agree with what Zach said, but I was gonna say that animals usually think for they think for mainly for themselves, and they only ever do anything. They don't ever do favors for or do anything for anybody out of their kin.
Okay. Aren't dogs nice yet? Aren't dogs nice to their owners? Don't they show affection? So they do things for other people.
Yeah, that's considered their kin almost.
Their kin. How about dogs being nice to people that are outside their family?
Well, that's because they see them as a food source or as a
See them as a
source of something.
source of something.
Because, if I was not giving my dog anything, it wouldn't come back. If I wasn't providing any services for it, it wouldn't come back.
Okay, so you're saying dogs are totally selfish animals, and humans do things that are not just for them, but they'll do things for other people.
Humans have the ability to.
Have the ability to.
Dogs, they're
Okay.
I actually
Molly?
argue that humans are kind of all egoists, and they only really do things that benefit themselves. Which when you do volunteer work, you feel good about it, and that's what you get from it. That sort of thing. I think everything that you do actually benefits you, or you think it benefits you in some way. So I would argue that humans are different from dogs in that aspect.
Okay, so Molly's saying actually humans don't do things in a selfless way, and correct me if I'm misquoting you here, but even when they do volunteer work, they're actually going to get some benefit from it, right? So in fact, dogs and humans aren't that much different, right?
Right, and that makes sense.
How about, somebody mentioned thinking. Zach mentioned that dogs think differently from humans. First of all, do dogs think? Karuna, does a dog think?
Yes.
Yes.
I think that if, you couldn't really teach a dog how to speak back, but you could teach it to, you could teach it so that it can understand you if you took, all the time. Because if all you taught a kid was, sit, stay, come, lie down, and stuff like that, and its name, that's all it would know too.
Yeah.
I don't.
All right, so dogs can understand. You can teach dogs various commands and they'll understand that sort of stuff. So they can think in those terms. When they hear a certain word, they'll take an action. All right, how about, does everybody know what self-awareness is? Does everybody know what the concept of self-awareness, of being aware of yourself? Like how, let's say I, said something to Zach. I said, Zach, I don't like you here. And then and then suddenly I think, gee, that wasn't very nice of me to say that. Okay, that's like self-awareness. Does a dog have self-awareness? Let's say a dog comes after me and barks and scares me. Does the dog go, yes? Is the dog aware of itself? Yeah? Winona?
I think so. It might not second guess itself as much, but
You'd speak up so I can hear you.
the dog might not second guess itself as much, but I think it's probably pretty aware of what it's doing.
Yeah. Now dogs are how are dogs different from deer? What's the difference between a dog and a deer?
Dogs chase deer.
Dogs chase deer. What about how dogs get taken care of? Let's talk about that.
Dogs are domesticated.
Dogs are domesticated, meaning what?
That they're household pets.
Household pets.
They're taken care of, like they have a different security complex than a deer does, because if you walk up to a dog, it might run away, but if you walk up to a dog with a treat, it's going to come take the treat from you, and if you walk up to a deer with a treat,
Yeah.
I mean, it might hear, because over time they can learn that we're not going to shoot it, but they're not hunted either.
They're not hunted. Would it be fair to say that deer are more independent than dogs? Dogs depend upon human beings for their care, for their food, shelter. Well, deer are independent animals. They don't really depend upon humans. Would that be a fair distinction?
I think that they sort of depend upon humans.
Okay.
But I also think that there's such thing as wild dogs.
Wild dogs. That was a band that was on the farm years ago. But, right, there are wild dogs too. But if you put one of you, who has a dog here? Who owns a dog? If you took your dog and you didn't feed it, didn't take care of it, just put it out into the woods, would it last or would it die? Could it make it by itself?
Depends on which one. I've got 2 dogs, one of them is like a foot high, and right now can't really use his back legs, so yeah, he might die, but yeah, I've got another one who might make it for a few days.
Yeah.
Week, I don't know. But like, at one time dogs were by themselves, and they made it fine.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's sort of, there's a difference between a dog that's grown up with care. It hasn't learned, like a dog that would grow up in the wild, its mother would teach it how to hunt, or its father. They would be taught how to survive. But when they grow up with owners who do everything for them.
Yeah. Now, we talked about self-awareness. Does everybody understand the concept of self-awareness? Just being aware of yourself, being aware who you are. Does everybody understand that? Dogs don't look in a mirror, for instance, right? Unless dog owners correct me. Will a dog owner get up in the morning and comb their hair and put on eyeshadow or whatever you do? No, right? Unless Karuna is going to tell me differently here.
No,
She has a special dog.
They do I mean, it might not be like they wake up in the morning, but they do, every once in a while, they clean themselves, like they lick themselves, and they do, it's not that they still get clean, just not in the way that people do.
Right. Okay.
I mean, there are actually some dogs, I'm fairly certain border collies, that they've done stuff with them that they'll recognize, like if there's food on their face, they'll look in the mirror and recognize it. Most breeds know, but some do.
Now, when I used to live on the old farm years ago, and we used to live in these houses where we'd have 40 and 50 people and maybe about 10 to 20 kids. And the kids would run through the house like herds, kind of like deer. And dogs sometimes do that too. When dogs get together, they run in packs. Now, how about dogs as opposed to human beings? Are human beings kind of like herd-type animals? Do we like to run in herds or be together in herds? Or some people might even call it tribes. Do you think that human beings are kind of like dogs and deer, to where we like to be together, we seek each other out? It's Christy, right? What do you think about that? Think human beings like to be with other people? Yeah? Why do you think that? They what?
Because they communicate with each other.
They like to communicate with each other. What about cities? Cities, people just crowd up against each other, right? Millions of people live really close. Does that tell you that maybe humans like to be together? No. You don't like being in a city, right? Okay. Does a dog or a deer know right from wrong? Does anybody know that? Does a dog or a deer know right from wrong? How about Elizabeth? Do you know? Can dogs, if a dog, let's say a dog bit somebody and they hurt him, does that dog feel bad or know that they messed up? What's that? Sometimes? Yeah. Do they have to be told? Do they have to be said, bad dog? Or do they just know that they messed up?
I think they have to be told.
They have to be told. Okay.
I was trained not to fight, and if they fight at some point, they run away because they know they're going to hit them.
Okay. Now, the concept of right and wrong, let's talk a little bit about that. There is a famous psychologist called Sigmund Freud. Anybody ever heard of him? Okay. And Sigmund Freud, and I'm not saying this is necessarily true, but Sigmund Freud said the human mind has three components to it. There's the id, the ego, and the superego. And what Freud said is the id is the animal instinct. It's the instinct where, like, if we're a wolf or something, we see a deer or a fawn, we want to eat it. Or the id also drives, you know, your will to eat, your will to procreate, just everything that you want, you know, all your desires. That's the id. And Freud said, then there's the ego, which is your conscious being. That's what's paying attention right now. And then there's the superego, which is kind of like your government, your parents, all these people telling you what you should and shouldn't be doing. Remember the first time we got together, I said, who wants to be here? And I didn't hear a chorus of, yeah! Everybody went, which is understandable. Sometimes you'd rather be doing something else. If you thought, like, what would be the most favorite thing I could be doing today? Some people would say, I'd like to be at a rock concert. Or somebody else would be thinking, I want to be swimming right now. Or somebody else would be thinking, I want to play basketball or, you know, do something else other than be in class. But yet you're here. And why is that? Well, part of it is your superego, which is this thing that's telling you, this is good for you. You should do this. This is something you're going to benefit from later, even though your id tells you, I don't want to be here. I want to do something else. So the superego is kind of like all of those things that you've kind of learned that sort of tell you what to do. There is another psychologist called Carl Jung. Anybody ever heard of him? Okay. Carl Jung talks about more of the spiritual plane. There's, besides the id, ego, and superego, there's also, we have this connection to the spirit world. Who here believes that we're spiritual beings? Anybody believe that? Yeah? And sort of, Winota, what do you think? Describe what you think is a spiritual being, or why you think we're spiritual beings. And I'm not pushing this, by the way. I never push religion in class. I'm just throwing it out as a concept. Okay, so you're talking about choice, but I'm talking about what we actually are. How do you know, like right now, if you look at me, you see this mass of protoplasm, muscle, fat, water, and it's like this big, and with its two legs holding up this big cerebrum, which is kind of like in a Petri dish, and I'm walking around thinking. And that's the rest of you are. Is that all there is, or are we interconnected? Is there something greater than just all us being separate and apart from each other? Are we connected to each other some way? Like physically, everybody's heard of Albert Einstein, right? Okay. Well, this body is a mass of atoms, right? There's all these atoms, right? Atoms going like that. And the floor is atoms, and the air is all atoms, and all your bodies are atoms. So there's actually, from a physics standpoint, there's no space between us. We're all just a bunch of atoms, but you happen to see differentiations here. So we are actually all connected just from a physics point of view. So Carl Jung talks about that. So if you look at, so we talked about dogs and human beings, the difference between dogs and human beings, and we've talked a little bit about self-awareness. And what I'm trying to get at is sort of to understand why humans even need government. We're trying to sort of talk about who we are. Now, the superego. Who here has a superego? It always sounds like, yeah? Molly, tell me what your superego's like. The person who tells you what you should and shouldn't do, even though you think, ah.
It makes me feel guilty after I do anything with negative consequences.
Okay, makes you feel guilty when you do something with negative consequences.
It makes me do things that in the here and now I don't necessarily want to do, but I, for some reason, think they'll be good for me in the future, or they'll be good for my relationship with other people, and so I do them anyways.
Okay, so you stop yourself from doing something you'd rather do because you think you're going to get a benefit down the road, right? Okay, who else can tell me about their superego? How about Forrest? You do everything you want to do. You walk in the house and go, yo, what's for dinner?
I know the difference between right and wrong, but most of the time, I just really don't give a shit.
Okay, you don't give a shit. You know the difference between right and wrong, but you don't give a shit. So do you go around and take rocks and break car windows? Sometimes? Okay, I'll know who to come to. I'll know who to look for if my window's broken. I better be nice to you in class, right? Okay, what's that?
I better avoid you altogether. I was making a wisecrack.
You better avoid...
I better avoid Forrest altogether.
All right.
I was making a wisecrack.
Okay. Is Alicia?
Yeah.
What about you? Do you have somebody you kind of in your mind that tells you what to do? Somebody you listen to, or a sort of a voice there?
Not really.
What's that?
Not really.
Not really? How do you know what to do? What's right and what's wrong?
Well, I already know what's right. I know what's wrong.
How do you know that?
Kind of. I don't know.
Where did you learn right and wrong?
Watching other people do it.
Watching other people. Okay. Where's my laptop? Is it right for me to take Noah's laptop? Can I just walk over and take it?
See, I didn't bring it for...
He didn't. I explained to Noah the whole purpose of this class. By the end of the class, we'll all agree that Noah should give me his laptop. That's my hidden motive in teaching this class, is to get a laptop out of it. I'm just kidding, sort of. Okay, but so who taught you learned right? Did your parents teach you right and wrong? No. You just saw other people.
Yeah.
And okay, so would it be okay? Let's say Karuna gets you mad. Would it be okay to punch her in the mouth? No. Why not?
Because I'd be like violating her own rights.
You'd be violating her rights. Oh, she has a right. What kind of right does she have?
Like a person not to get hit.
What's that?
Not to get hit.
Not to get hit. She has a right not to get hit. Does everybody agree with that? Does everybody agree Karuna has a right not to get hit by somebody else, except her brother? Does everybody agree? Do you agree? You just hit her?
All the good people.
Okay. Does everybody agree Karuna has a right not to get hit? Nobody disagrees except for Forrest? You disagree? Okay. Why? She can get hit anytime, or there has to be a reason?
I think that you know, if she did something against humanity, that
Something against humanity?
or against the earth, or
If she did something against the earth or against humanity,
or people as a group of people that, you know, I mean, I don't think always you have a right to go, punch somebody in the face, but I think that I think that you have a right to at least get some sort of reparation, be it.
Okay. So you don't have you're saying that people don't, if they do something that's wrong, we talked about right and wrong, that maybe they don't have a right to protect themselves or to not receive some sort of consequences, right?
Yeah, consequences is a better word.
Consequences, okay. All right. Now, I'm going to show you all a Chris Rock video somewhere down the road, but it's kind of funny. In it, Chris Rock is talking about how not to get your ass whooped by the police. And he says, this is what you're supposed to do. He shows this African-American, this black guy in a car, and he goes, yes, sir, as the officer pulls him, yes, sir, anything you say, sir. And he says, that's what you're supposed to do. And he says, you're not supposed to do this. Then he shows the same guy get out of the car when the cop's pulling over, go, what the fuck are you doing, man? And suddenly you have like 10 cops beating the guy up. He goes, you shouldn't do that. So that's a consequence, right? Did he deserve to get punched by the police?
No, see.
No.
I think that in that situation, the cop had a right to be like, to answer his question in the same tone that he asked it, but not anything.
Okay. Would everybody agree that we have a right as human beings to be fed, to have food, to eat? Who doesn't agree with that? Who doesn't agree we have a right to have food? You don't think we have a right to have food?
Not really. I mean,
Okay.
it's good when we have food, but I don't see why we would have a right to have food.
Okay. So you don't think we have a right, we just happen to get it, but you don't believe it's really something that's we deserve, right?
Not really. Like if we don't work for it and we don't do anything good that would make us deserve it.
Okay.
I don't see why we would.
We should have it. So if you don't work, you're lazy. You just sit around and like play guitar all day. Yo! It's like, and nobody, and I'm starving to death. I'm not going to get up. I'm just going to, yo, do. I shouldn't be fed, right?
I mean, if you refuse to do anything to get food, which doesn't necessarily involve like work, but if you're nice to people, they'll probably give you food.
Okay. What if I'm crabby, crusty, play bad music, and I don't do anything? I do squat. Should I get fed? What do you think, Peter?
Well, for me, you have the right under any of those circumstances to have an opportunity to get food.
Okay, an opportunity to get food. All right.
If you don't exercise, do some actions, then to
Yeah.
get it.
How about housing? Do you have the right to have a house to live in?
Not.
You what?
I think I'd rather live in a cave.
You'd rather live in a cave. Okay, well, we're talking about not what you want to do, but do you have the right to at least, how about, forget about a house, the right to have something over your head so you don't get wet when it rains? What's that?
Walk in the trees, there you go.
The what? I'm sorry.
Take a walk in the forest, and there you go.
Take a walk in the forest. All right, so what about if you're living out in a desert, it wouldn't rain. But, so you don't think human beings have a right to have shelter, right?
It's all in their head.
What's that?
It's all in your head.
It's all in our head.
Sure, why not?
It's our first existentialist. We'll be talking about that. All right. What about our relationship to the earth? Do you think, okay, we're talking about rights. Some people think we have the right to be fed, or at least the opportunity to be fed. Some people think we have the right to shelter, food and shelter. Now, where's the food come from? Where's food come from? Where do fruits and vegetables come from? The earth, right? Okay. Now, before we actually grew food, who has actually gone out into the woods and eaten some of the wild herbs out there? There's actually wild onions. If you know the right mushrooms, you got to be really careful about this. You can pick mushrooms. You have? A little bit. And Winona, you've picked some? What kind of, what's it? Tundra.
Chanterelles.
So chanterelles. Okay, you know what chanterelles are? And you actually pick them and eat them? What's that? Oh, you cook them. Okay. Anybody else? Has anybody else gone out and picked stuff out of the wilds? Forest.
Yeah, chanterelles.
Chanterelles. And what else?
Blueberries over at
Blueberries. Well, that's not really wild,
Well,
but...
that's pretty wild.
Oh, yeah. Yeah? Deer. You've eaten deer?
Yeah.
Have you killed the deer?
I didn't kill a deer. I've never killed a deer.
Okay. But you eaten deer meat?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you kill a deer?
I mean, it's a matter of respect and use.
Let's say you were really hungry, you hadn't eaten for a week, and everybody in the farm disappeared, there was no vegetables, and there was this deer. Would you go over and strangle it and eat it?
Depends on whether it's healthy or not.
What's that?
Depends on whether it's healthy or not.
Healthy or not, okay. Would you consider eating a deer, killing a deer and eating it if you were really hungry?
Yeah.
Okay. Who else would do that? Would you? No? Molly, you would? You would?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like, yeah. All right, so Forrest.
I would do it.
You do it. Okay, so human beings and dogs and deer, we all need food, right? All animals need food, right? That's one thing that we all need. And that's a need. And at least human beings need shelter, whether you're in a cave or in a house. We need to go to a place where we can be warm or away from the weather. Now, do you think that we can just take anything we want on the earth? Do you think our relationship to the earth is if we are hungry, we can take it? The earth was given to us to do whatever we want with it. Who agrees with that? Who thinks that the earth, we have a relationship with the earth where we should be caretakers and be kind to the earth? Who agrees with that? Okay. So the people, you don't agree with that? No? Do you think we should just take anything we want from the earth and the earth is there for us? Yeah. Okay, well that philosophy represents more of white man civilization. That's the basis of white man's government, is that we take from the earth. The earth was given to us by God. God gave us the earth. And if you read some of the stuff, and I'm hoping, by the way, I realize the materials I gave you are kind of thick. You don't have to read and understand everything, but I'd like you by the next class to just go through them, even if you're like, oh, what's he talking about? Skim through it and try to find stuff that maybe makes sense to you, okay? I'm not going to test you on it, but I would like you to just go through it and read it. All right, so the basic needs of the animal. We need to survive, eat, drink, shelter. Now, what about liberty? Do human beings have a right to be free? Who thinks that we have a right to be free? Yes? What's your name again? I forgot. Kim. Do you think we have a right to be free? Yeah? And what does freedom mean to you? What's it mean to be free? We're not a slave.
Do that, do that, do that, do that. And he's like, I can't do this anymore.
Okay.
Why can't I just stop?
Okay.
That's a part of freedom.
That's part of freedom. Is that you sitting next to your dad?
Yeah.
Okay. Does he tell you what to do?
A little bit.
A little bit?
But I'm fine.
Okay. So he does tell you some stuff. You don't get to do everything you want to do, right? Okay. So you're in, by the way, we're going to talk about this. The family is the first most ancient form of government. And the mother and the father, are they dictators, kings and queens, or presidents of a democracy? So freedom. Who thinks that it's a right to be free? Karuna. Speak up, okay? Because with the air conditioning, I can't hear you.
Am I supposed to say why?
Yeah, say anything you like.
I think that people should be free because I don't think it's right for everybody to be saying like you have to do this and you can't do that. And I've run away from school and gotten into arguments with other people like that.
About people telling you what to do?
Yeah, and like telling me that if I don't do this, I can't do that, or if I don't do this, then I have. Then like there's.
Okay. Does everybody here want to do whatever you want to do? Who here wants somebody else telling them what to do? Who here wants somebody else telling them what to do? I'm the only one? Winona. Sometimes. Good.
I'd like to have the freedom to have options,
A freedom to have options.
but I wouldn't mind advice from other people,
You don't mind other people telling you what to do?
or advice from other
Or advice. But you would like the option to be able to not do what they tell you what to do, right?
In most cases,
Okay.
with some things, like if I was to a point where I wasn't able to, I guess, make the decisions that I would want to make, I would like someone else to.
Okay.
It's complicated.
All right. Yes, sir.
I'd like to be able to do what I want to do to a certain extent, but I think that there's certain bounds that that need to be put on everything.
Okay.
You know, like if I get angry, like yeah, it's okay to walk out of the house. It's okay to go sit somewhere and get your thoughts straight, but it's not okay to like walk out of the house and punch in mom's car window or something.
Okay.
Because like I want to be as free as possible, but as long as I'm not detrimental to other people or other things.
All right, you're willing to give up, I'm hearing that you're willing to give up some of your complete freedom to do whatever you want to do in exchange for what? What are you getting back? Let's say...
Well, not going to jail, not getting grounded.
Not getting grounded, okay. So you're not being free completely because you're afraid of punishment, right?
Not really. It's more that I'm afraid of. I'm not really afraid of punishment. I'm just afraid of not being free anymore.
Not being free anymore. Okay, so you think maybe the system that you're in, whether it's your family or the greater government, is giving you some other freedoms that you don't necessarily have by yourself. Privileges. Okay. Let's pretend we're all just like, let's say all the adults died off, like had Dare disease. The Dare disease killed all the adults, and it was just you all left. Anybody like under 18. Okay, and you're all just out there trying to figure stuff out. You can do whatever you want. Now, what did the adults do for you before they all died off? What did they give you besides telling you what to do? Yes, Elizabeth? What did the adults do for you before all the adults died off?
Well, are we talking about our parents?
Parents, sure.
I don't live with my parents.
Okay. Well, any adult.
Any adult?
Yeah.
I guess they give you food and stuff and give you guys to school.
Give you food. And what else?
Stuff.
What's that? Stuff to help take care of you when you're sick?
Sure.
Okay. So protection, right? Whatever the authority is that's taking away your freedoms has given you some sort of protection or has provided for your basic needs like food, clothing, shelter, and given you some sort of protection. And in exchange, you've given up some of your ability to make your own choices, right? Is that what's going to happen in the family setting? Okay, everybody think about that. Let's take a 10-minute break and we'll be back at 10 to 5. Continue discussion, all right? Come back in 10 minutes on the nose and we'll keep going.